Louis I of Orléans was Duke of Orléans from 1392 to his death. He was also Count of Valois, Duke of Touraine, Count of Blois, Angoulême, Périgord and Soissons. Louis was son of King Charles V of France and Joanna of Bourbon and younger brother of Charles VI. Succession in Hungary, Poland and Naples. In 1374, Louis was betrothed to Catherine, heiress presumptive to the throne of Hungary. Louis and Catherine were expected to reign either over Hungary or over Poland, as Catherine's father, Louis I of Hungary, had no sons. Catherine's father also planned to levy them his claim to the crown of Naples and the county of Provence, which were then held by his ailing and childless cousin Joanna I. However, Catherine's death in 1378 ended the marriage negotiations. In 1384, Elizabeth of Bosnia started negotiating with Louis's father about the possibility of Louis marrying her daughter Mary, notwithstanding Mary's engagement to Sigismund of Luxembourg. If Elizabeth had made this proposal in 1378, after Catherine's death, the fact that the French king and the Hungarian king did not recognize the same pope would have presented a problem. However, Elizabeth was desperate in 1384 and was not willing to let the schism stand in the way of the negotiations. Anti-Pope Clement VII issued a dispensation which annulled Mary's betrothal to Sigismund, and a proxy marriage between Louis and Mary was celebrated in April 1385. Nonetheless, the marriage was not recognized by the Hungarian noblemen who adhered to Pope Urban VI. 4 months after the proxy marriage, Sigismund invaded Hungary and married Mary, which ultimately destroyed Louis's chances to reign as King of Hungary. 100 Years' War. Louis had an important political role during the 100 Years' War. With the increasing insanity of his elder brother Charles the Mad, Louis disputed the regency and guardianship of the royal children with John the Fearless, Duke of Burgundy. The enmity between the two was public and a source of political unrest in the already troubled France. Louis had the initial advantage, being the brother rather than the first cousin of the king, but his reputation as a womanizer and the rumor of an affair with the Queen Consort Isabeau of Bavaria made him extremely unpopular. For the following years, the children of Charles VI were successively kidnapped and recovered by both parties, until the Duke of Burgundy managed to be appointed by royal decree guardian of the Dauphin and regent of France. Louis did not give up and took every effort to sabotage John's rule, including squandering the money raised for the relief of Calais, then occupied by the English. After this episode, John and Louis broke into open threats, and only the intervention of John of Valois, Duke of Berry and uncle of both men, avoided a civil war. Murder. On Sunday, the 20th of November 1407, the contending dukes exchanged solemn vows of reconciliation before the court of France. But only 3 days later, Louis was brutally assassinated in the streets of Paris by the orders of the Duke of Burgundy John the Fearless. Louis was stabbed while mounting his horse by 15 masked criminals led by Rappelet d'Anquetonville, a servant of the Duke of Burgundy. The unarmed servants who escorted him were powerless to protect him. His page tried to protect Louis and was mortally wounded. An attendant was severely wounded. John was supported by the population of Paris and the university. He could even publicly admit the killing, rather than deny it. John had the scholar Jean Petit of the Sorbonne deliver a peroration justifying the killing of tyrants. Louis' murder sparked a bloody feud and civil war between Burgundy and the French royal family, which divided France for the next 70 years, and only ended with the death of Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy in 1477. Marriage and issue. In 1389, Louis married Valentina Visconti, daughter of Gian Galeazzo, Duke of Milan. The union produced 8 children: a son, buried in Paracellis St. Paul; Louis, buried Paracellis des Célestins; John, buried Paracellis des Célestins; Charles, Duke of Orléans, father of King Louis XII of France; Philip, Count of Vertus; John, Count of Angoulême, grandfather of King Francis I of France; Marie, Margaret, married Richard of Brittany, Count of Étampes. She received the county of Vertus as a dowry. His illegitimate son by Mariette d'Angoulême was Jean le Vieux Valois des Orléans, better known as John of Demois, ancestor of the Dukes of Longueville. Honors: Kingdom of France, Duchy of Orléans, first headmaster and Knight of the Order of the Porcupine. He founded at the occasion of the baptism of his son Charles. Ancestry: